Okay, so here we have the FSDB01 light controller on the LC80 brushless, and here's how it comes set up stock. You've got the back light. Okay, so you've got something in the backlights, nothing in the brake slot, which is the second from the top. Then you have the headlights is the next slot, and then DRL, or driving lights, is the fourth slot down, and that's empty. So again, so we got the back. The back is plugged in, so the backup lights are plugged in. The second one, the brake light, is empty. The third one, the headlight, that has something in it. The DRL, the driving light, which is the fourth one, is also empty. And then the bottom two are the turn signals, right and left. So it's a little unfortunate that they did it as right and left rather than front and rear. I don't know why, but what that means is we can take the brake lights. So we can take what's in the backup light, we can move it down a slot to the brake light. We can leave the headlights where it is, and then we can move the what we're going to have to do is split the plug between the right and the left, and put the ones that are in the rear to the backup light, so the now empty top switch, because remember, we'll move the top one down, or on the screen kind of the leftmost one, we'll move that one down to the backup or the brake light. And then the forward ones will move to the driving lights. And what that is going to let us do is eliminate the turn signals, have the rear turn signals come on when we do backup, and have the front ones come on as driving lights. So those could be on just alone, and it'll be driving lights, and then driving lights, headlights, and the light bar, which I think is pretty optimal. So in this new light controller, we only have really two wires to switch for, so now rather than left and right turn signals, we'll end up having front and back signals in those plugs. And then that's all I'm going to do for having the lights. And that's really nice, because now I don't have to switch the buckets up, which I don't know if you can tell, they've kind of added dabs of glue into all the light buckets, which means it'll be nice and secure and waterproof, but kind of a pain to take out and swap those around. And that also means that our backup lights will still be amber, and our driving lights up front here will still be amber, but I can live with that instead of clear, if it'll just mean that I don't have the turn signals and have other things working. Now, the other thing they give you with this brushless version that I just noticed is we've got 3 plugs that all come off of the head. So we've got the headlights, we've got the light bar, and we actually have a spare plug. See if I can focus. A spare 2 plug for something else. So we could, you can see this one here goes up and then splits into the light bar. But we've got an extra plug that we could run rock lights to, or if you had, I don't know, square trail lights or something else, they give you this plug that will come on when you turn on the headlights. So again, really cool, a nice way to make it pretty customizable without having to do a whole lot of soldering. All right, so we've got a little more work done here. I was hoping that, unfortunately, we could just switch one of these wires out on each of the turn signal plugs, but in retrospect, that doesn't make sense, because this is positive and negative for both the front and the rear. So switching one is going to make the plug positive, positive, and negative, negative. So unwrapped a little bit of the heat shrink here, and we can see that confirms it, right? So the 2 wires going into the plug that go into the light controller, 2 of them, one each goes to the rear and the front, and the other one goes to the rear and front. So we got positive and negative coming into this one. So then, obviously here, I could just unplug this. If I don't want turn signals and don't want to use them for anything else, I could just unplug it and I'm fine. But I would like to use the lights. So all I have to do really then is reconnect some of these wires from the ones that go both to the, I want positive and negative from the front going to one wire and positive and negative from the back going to one of these wires. And then I can switch one of these plugs to the other plug. And I'll have to do the same thing on the other side, which is this one's zip tied in there, but it'll be the same kind of thing. So if I do that, then I can again swap one of these wires to this other turn signal plug, and swap that one to this side, and then I can just figure out what, you know, I'll have back and front on each plug, and there's just enough room, I think, to be able to plug that into running lights and the backup lights. Okay, so we've got the FSDB01 light controller here in the brushless FCX18 LC80. Boy, that's a lot of letters and numbers there. I've got the lights all fixed up here. So the turn signals, which normally go in here, which is left and right, or left and right turn signals, those have been moved and rewired. And they're the backup lights I moved to the brake lights, so those will now be red. And so it is nice that they have the running lights, which are now the front turn signals are now running lights, and the rear turn signals are now the backup lights. So it's cool that they have all of these ports for this to make the swapping easy. However, since the left and the right are on one, well, left is on one and right is on one plug, the challenging thing is that you've got to either get new lights, which in retrospect probably would have been easier, but I didn't have them, so I wanted to reuse the ones that were in there because they glued these lights in. If they hadn't done that, I would have been able to kind of pop things out and around and make it a little bit easier. As it was, I had to splice the wires in, and the challenge then with that one is knowing which one's positive and negative, because nothing's labeled, of course. So it's trial and error. And the first time I hooked it up, I had already put on all my shrink wrap, plugged it in, didn't work. Or it worked for the running lights on only one side. And if I flipped this plug around, it worked on the other side. So I didn't have it wired up correctly. Didn't have the LEDs wired up correctly. So that was it's a little challenging. This is 30 gauge wire that you're working with in here, so it's really kind of challenging there. If you just want to eliminate the turn signals, it's super easy that you just open this up and pop off these two and just leave them hanging, or cut them off if you wanted to. It's just more complicated since I wanted to reuse them and use them for running lights and daytime running lights and backup lights. So that's working. That's how it is now. Again, you just have to kind of trace your wires along here and say, okay, if this is this is for the front top, and then it has to just be wired up in there. The other nice thing is that these plugs are pretty easy to take the posts out and be able to swap those around so that you don't have to mess with the whole plug or cut any wires on the plug or anything. So there you go. Hope that's helpful.